Well, welcome
Thanks.
to this morning. All right, so and thank you for your patience as well in trying to get that uh all done and taken care of. All
No
right, so
worries.
let's have a chin wag. We've got a few things to talk about, and we've got you got a tour coming up.
Yep.
You're going to be in Adelaide, where I am for Froth and Fury Fest, which is the primary reason I'm here. And this is all still a part of the album tour from last year. Um,
Yes.
that is there as well. So, um, and on the Aussie tour that you're doing, you've actually got a few of the bands that will be on the festival as well.
Yep.
Great American Ghost and Brand Sacrifice off the top of my head.
hmm
Um, so let's start with the festival. I mean, in terms of Froth and Fury Fest, I mean, what do you know about that festival and how did that come about?
I don't know too much about it. I know that it's a beer-related festival. I'm not sure if there's a brewery involved. I imagine that there is. And I think this is the second year of it, perhaps. That's about as much as I know.
Okay.
Fourth year. Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, good. It must be going good.
yeah. It actually has actually. I mean, last year it was Butterfly Effects and Suicidal Tendencies were the two headliners. So it's just
Yep.
been getting bigger and bigger. So obviously this year you're
Yeah.
second on the bill
Yep.
with you and Fear Factory and North Lane in there as well.
Yep.
With I mean, obviously the upcoming Aussie tour you've got. I mean, you're going to be doing the five capitals. You've got them bands that we mentioned earlier. I mean, and you've just and you've been touring really heavily since the album got released as well. And you've got more tours coming up after that in the next couple of months as well.
Yep.
Um, what can you tell us for people who don't know a great deal about what the tour's going to entail? Is there going to be a difference between the festival set and the headline tour set and the bands themselves that you'll be touring with?
I can't really say. I don't think that there should be too much difference between the festival set and the touring set. I'd have to check with my production manager, but I think it's basically the same set time as we play. So, I mean, the only difference is if it's a shorter set, then we'll drop a couple songs. But otherwise, we've got like our light show that's all programmed, time coded to the set. So it'll more or less be the same. We're bringing in the full production that we have for the headline shows. So.
Oh, brilliant.
It should be a nice one. And then usually festivals have like a bunch more extra lights than what venues have, so it might even be a little bit cooler.
Oh, awesome. And Great American Ghost and Brenda Sacrifice. I mean, how do you guys know each other? Have you toured before?
Brand Sacrifice, we toured on the Back from the Gulag tour in 2022 across North America. It was us after the burial, Brand Sacrifice and Currents, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And they're like one of the rising stars of like modern deathcore, I would say. They have like a lot of modern elements. They're a little bit more different to how we kind of play the genre. There's a lot more electronics, keys, and synths and stuff like that. The singer's an absolute star. This Kyle kid, he's got these crazy dreadlocks. He looks very iconic on stage. Has a crazy voice. So we met them there. We share the same agent in the States. So he was like, "Hey, this band is really cool. Can you put them on your tour?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, of course." So, and they were awesome. And then Great American Ghost, I started working with 5 years ago. So I own a record label in Australia called Human Warfare, and
Mhm.
we put out their record Power Through Terror. I think February 14th, 2020. I reckon was the release date. So known those dudes for years, and massive fan. I honestly don't know how they're not one of the biggest bands in metal today. The songs are huge, the riffs are huge, the drums are huge, and I just see it as my duty to try and support them where I can because they're fucking insane, and everyone's missing out.
It's interesting you're talking there about supporting the bands and that. I mean, and obviously you guys are putting on this tour, and you put on I think you were here. You were in Adelaide, you got High Street Music Hall maybe 2 years ago, year and a half ago. Uh,
Yeah, January 2023.
yeah, and so when you go in and put these tours on, you headline and you bring these bands over. then there must be a real balance or a contrast between the amount of work behind putting it in to then the success of it. But do you get, I'm guessing you get a kick out of that?
I do. One thing that really attracted me to the music industry is there doesn't seem to really be too much correlation between input and output, which is odd. You go to manufacturing and your inputs kind of equal your outputs plus a multiplier. Music, there are local bands that are working very, very hard at their craft, at their promotion, at their records, and the output isn't correlated, and sometimes it might even be smaller than the amount of input. I think that's kind of unfair, but also it that there's this luck and timing that is such a fascinating part about it. So when you do strike gold, it is a little bit more magical than it would be otherwise.
Mhm.
So every tour requires a lot of work, and I've been the promoter for the art tours in Australia now for a little over 10 years, maybe 12 years, and managing the band and the label and all of that stuff. It's just as much work for a small tour as it is for a large tour at this stage, and some will do incredibly well, and some will do okay, and some will do poorly, and uh, you just have to. I think it's interesting because it forces you to focus and work hard no matter what. You have this expectation of what the result will be, but that's getting like putting the horse in front of the cart. You just have
Yeah.
to work hard and cross your fingers, and hopefully everything goes well.
Mentioning, I'm going to mention, I'm going to have to go to this point. So, obviously, um, we've been touring this album now for nearly 2 years. Um,
No, 13 months.
13 months, sorry. Yeah, sorry, my apologies. Okay. Um, when that album dropped, and obviously you mentioned you're the band manager there as well. Obviously, there was a bit of there was shit going down, right? Let's just call it how it is, right?
Oh yeah, it was psychotic.
Yeah. So, I mean, and
I
look,
was on my honeymoon when it happened.
oh fuck, just the
So
phones going
honeymoon
off.
didn't exist. It didn't exist. No, I worked for about 2 whole weeks, which was the duration of my honeymoon. So
But okay, so I'm not going to obviously talk. I'm not going to talk about the points of what happened at that stage. But as you said, been 13 months on or so. I mean, one, has that all settled down? Two, what's the feedback you feel has been like having a different vocalist and when we say different, extremely different vocalist, certainly in terms of personality.
yep.
How do you feel it's been?
I feel like it's been pretty good. It's not really for me to say. I mean, I can only focus on the process. I'm definitely like process oriented as opposed to result oriented.
Mhm.
Um, so all
Oh,
I
sorry,
can
just one
do is
minute.
you good.
Keep this room. All right, sorry. Sorry, I've got to
No,
move
you're
room.
good.
Yeah.
All I can do is focus on what we're doing or what I'm doing and cross my fingers that everything goes to plan, more or less. So,
Perfect. Sorry, just picking another room. The joys of where I work.
yeah,
There you go. Oh.
I work at home, so no one comes to bother me.
Yeah, I have.
Um,
Yeah, so focus on the process. Yeah.
yeah, and don't worry too much about outside input. It's I've been in the business long enough now that we understand that there's a cyclical nature to record releasing, there's a cyclical nature to genre popularity. And so sometimes the band will be doing really good, sometimes it won't be doing as good, sometimes it'll be sitting in the middle, sometimes it'll be flying high. And it's important not to get caught up by that and just focus on doing what you know how to do and what you can control. So, we've been pretty happy the last 13 months with this album cycle. We do the tours, we work on new music, and, you know, outside of that, there's nothing that we can do about it. So, if I have no input over how that happens, why should I have a feeling about what's happening?
Yeah.
I just have a feeling about what we're doing. So,
Well, it's a good point there about as well, because I mean the it's an independent release. It's on your label.
Yep.
Was that kind of quite liberating as well, and allowed you to make, say, the big decision that was made last year?
Yeah, it is very liberating. I mean, for a few different reasons. We're kind of you get like these big businesses like Nuclear Blast, and I don't have a bad thing to say about that label. I'm still very good friends with the whole team over there, and we work together quite a bit. But when you have these large organizations, they start to move a little bit slower because they have all these processes in place and boxes to tick and T's to cross and I's to dot. So it did give us flexibility in the album campaign that we could see how we felt that the traction was going and make it audible, not at the last minute, but go, hang on, this song performed really good. We're going to let it run a little bit longer. We might let it run an extra 2 weeks before we put another song out.
Mm.
Whereas with some of these big labels and distributors, you might be locked into release timelines 8 weeks out, 12 weeks out. So you've built the release program, and this song's going to come out on this day, and you get to a song that's performing really well, and you think, let's just let it run. And you go, oh, we can't, we've got to move on to the next thing because we can't change the schedule. So it gave us flexibility in that regard. It allowed us the sort of synergy to combine or use the music release schedule to coordinate with touring schedules. So, I mean, gone for at least our genre are the days of the 360 deal where the label takes you touring and your merchandise and
Yeah.
your this and your that. So if the label doesn't care about how the tour performs, then they don't have an interest in coordinating with the tour. They just go, oh, well, we want to do this. We need to sell these amount of CDs.
Mm.
I go, well, nah, we've got a tour announce coming up. We want to coordinate the single release with the tour announcement. So it gave us flexibility in other ways like that. Also, a lot of financial flexibility, which in the modern day of music and streaming um, is like a little bit of a bonus for a band like us that has no singing. It's it. We're a pretty popular deathcore band or death metal band, however you want to spin it. But at the end of the day, it's still what your mum and dad call that rah rah music. So it's not,
You're not on
you
top
have
of the
to.
pops in the UK. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we do have limitations that other bands in other genres may not have in terms of like earning capacity or ceilings on concert attendance.
Yeah. If I'm correct, since the album's dropped, the only shows you played in Australia were Knotfest or around Knotfest. Is that correct?
Yeah, we played one show in Marrickville late last year that was part of like a government uh, music industry stimulus package. Basically, they were going around to various LGAs and trying to put shows in there to help venues out.
Hmm.
So we did one small show at the Marrickville Bowls Club last year.
Okay.
For whatever reason, they wanted it to be in Marrickville, maybe because Albanese's from Marrickville or something.
That's a
And uh,
club.
and then we did the three Knotfest shows, I think, in late March this year, and they were awesome.
Mm. So I mean, I was going to say, because I mean, it's the reaction from. I mean, I was at the one in Melbourne, that, and I thought it was a great show as well. It's just, how did you feel the reaction was? I mean, everybody knows worldwide you're an Aussie band, okay?
Yep.
So you're there, you're playing in front of your home people. You've got the new singer in. Did you? I mean, I hear it often with other bands where when a new guy comes in, and a lot of people stand there like, "Go on, impress me." Did you come up against any of that?
No, I think we put out a couple of videos on the afternoons after the festival appearances showing like how crazy it was. The crowd activation was what I would expect from a festival, an outdoor one for sure,
Yeah.
and the feedback was awesome. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been pretty good everywhere we played.
That's excellent, excellent. You mentioned, and I don't want to put you in any trouble with the band manager, which is you. You're mentioning that you're potentially already starting work on new material.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of songs ready to go, so kind of putting the finishing touches on those. And then I think we've got touring starting next month, and that runs through like second week of December.
That's
We'll
America,
have a
isn't it?
break. Latin America.
Like South America, yeah, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So we do this Australian thing, then we get moving straight over to Latin America. We finish, a little bit less than maybe 10 or 12 days before Christmas. So we'll have a break for Christmas, and then January's not a lot on, so we'll probably start diving into working on new material then.
Excellent.
That being said, we already have other new material that's kind of in the bank.
Will there be I mean, again, when you're saying deathcore, I mean, I suppose it's quite a narrow area you can work in. But do you imagine there'd be potentially a stylistic change because there is a vocal difference?
I'm not sure about that. The way that this last record was made, as most people are aware, is we had a very limited time frame to put the finishing touches on the record. So we couldn't kind of get into the weeds of exploring Tyler's vocal range or what kind of dynamic he could bring to the table.
Mhm.
That's something that we've got these songs banked up. It will give us like a bit of an opportunity to spend some time going, oh, well, what other things can you do with your voice?
Yeah,
You know, in terms of the music creation, I don't think there's much stylistic change that he would input onto us. Sean and I just make music that we like. Um, but for sure in the past we've kind of done it with a vision of how the vocal will sound. So I guess the first kind of step will be making the music that we make and seeing what he does differently and working with him on that and seeing what ideas he brings into the table. And then we can adjust course moving forward.
yeah. On stage, he's most definitely a. I only seen you guys once with him, and the comment I made was he didn't stop. He was every part of that stage, and
Yeah.
that was actually we talk about well, I talk about stylistic change, and you just answered the question. But even that visually was quite a that was a fresh change. It was
Yeah.
it wasn't just the same old same old. I was like, okay, we're getting something different from here. So you'd imagine
Yeah,
that.
he's very fit. He's got a lot of energy. So I
Is he
guess
younger
that's
as well?
what?
Is he younger as well?
Yeah, so he is 34. So more closely in line with the age of the band.
Oh, good